Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny Tunes. It's Destiny here. Before getting into this video, I do want to give a little content warning that there will be things like sexual abuse, drug usage, overdose, religion, and exploitation mentioned in this video. So if these are things that could negatively affect you and your mental health, please feel free to click off of this video now and protect your mental well-being, and we will catch you in the next one. If you do decide to stay, I hope that you enjoy this video, and let's get into it. As a longtime fan of vewn, I found that it was only necessary to go back and revisit one of my favorite pieces of animation that she's ever created, and that is Twins in Paradise. Now, I have tried to dissect this video so many times over on my TikTok page, but back in the day when you were only allowed to post up to like 1 minute worth of content, there just wasn't enough time to really get into the meat and potatoes of Twins in Paradise because, let's be honest, there is a lot to unpack in those 9 minutes. But I wanted to rewatch this video almost 4 years later and give an updated perspective of what I interpreted when I watched Twins in Paradise. This time, I will be able to truly break down everything and yap to my heart's content. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and dive into Twins in Paradise, created by the lovely vewn. I feel like there are definitely many ways that this video could be interpreted, but I feel like the one that most people end up leaning back on is that of grief, and I would have to agree. I feel like grief is the main plot line in this video, but there are definitely other things to discuss about the world that these girls are living in. Now, the way that I'm going to do this video is similar to the way that I did it back on my TikTok page. We're going to give a general overview of Twins in Paradise, and then we will go deeper into each individual twin's struggle with grief and how it affects these characters individually as well as together as siblings. Lastly, I will talk more personally about this video and my own personal feelings and interpretation. So let's go and jump right in. So right off the bat, the vibe of this world that the twins are living in feels very dark and unsettling, even more so when the TV flashes the word nuclear accident, which is enough to spark my attention because how on earth do you accidentally set off a nuclear weapon? We then get a sort of introduction of the twin sisters, Marcy and Darcy, when we see the news of them winning the semifinals in tennis on the television as well. And it's in this moment that we see that there is a clear emotional difference between the twins, one of them seeming to be more emotionally present, while the other seems to be more emotionally cut off. And as they retreat back to their own individual rooms, we see that the vibe is very different within their spaces. One seems to be more bright and organized, while the other is more dark and chaotic. Obviously, this could be seen as a direct representation of how these characters are being presented to us in this current time, although we will find out by the end of this video that looks can be deceiving. There are definitely more takeaways from the girls' rooms that I will get into more depth in later when I talk about my interpretation, so if you're thinking that I probably missed something, stay tuned, there's a possibility that I will talk about it later. As the video goes on, we start to see the state of the world crumbling down more and more. The same can be said about the mental state of the twins, as both Marcy and Darcy seem to be spiraling with the weight of losing their mother. Now, I could keep going on with the overview of this video, but I want to dive into each sister, and the rest of the video will be covered by me discussing their characters, so yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's dig a little deeper into Marcy's character first. So in the beginning of this video, Marcy seems to be the sister who has things more under control. We see that she smiles more than Darcy, her space is more organized, and she seems to be more locked in when it comes to playing tennis. Like, going into Twins in Paradise, it almost feels as if they are trying to set up the sisters to be the complete opposite of each other through things like colors, vibe, internal conflicts. But the more that we see Marcy's character, it becomes more clear that she and her sister are more alike than they are different. Marcy appears to want to be as properly maintained as possible, which is why we see her so dedicated to her sport, or why she still has that angel on her shoulder that's keeping her in track. up until the little demon ends up taking over. But up until that point, it's clear that Marcy has attempted to stay strong until she just couldn't anymore, and that devil gets the best of her. I'm not exactly sure what these things are meant to represent because we see the angel on her shoulder taking the form of her late mother. So if I were to answer in my own opinion, I would say that maybe the little devil could represent grief or guilt of some kind. So once the takeover with the little demon happens, we see almost an immediate change with Marcy's character. She starts to lash out towards her surroundings, breaking the statues in their home. And in therapy, she claims that there isn't anything wrong with her, which we all know is denial, one of the many stages of grief. She also lashes out in the office, throwing a box of crayons in an attempt to hit her therapist. I do want to say that it's interesting to me that even through all of these changes, Marcy still seems to be dedicated to tennis, almost as if she's trying to prove something. And I do wonder if there is a possibility that the girls got into tennis because of their mother, and it's that reasoning that has left Marcy holding on so tightly to this little bit of her mother. It could be why we see her exhausting herself to keep performing at her best, and also lashing out at her sister when they're unable to compete in the championship after Darcy ends up overdosing. Which is actually really sad to me because she seems to prioritize the tennis over Darcy's well-being. Marcy is a perfect example of what happens when people push down their emotions in an attempt to keep life as normal as possible. The thing is, there's only so long you can play pretend while you have internal conflict raging on in your mind and in your heart. Marcy's spiraling was something that I knew was coming. We saw the weight of the world growing heavier and heavier for this character until she eventually breaks. And at that point, it isn't about whether or not the angel or the devil on her shoulder is right, but whether or not Marcy will be strong enough to actually want to work through her grief. Now we move on to Darcy, who honestly pretty much broke my heart this entire video because from the beginning, you can tell that this child just isn't here anymore. And unlike her sister, Darcy doesn't seem to give a single care about tennis or anything else for that matter, as we see her managing her grief by literally tripping out on drugs. Now, it isn't ever mentioned in the video how old the twins are, but I'm going to assume that it's pretty young, which is extremely concerning given the fact that Darcy is already addicted to whatever medication she's being prescribed by her therapist. We can see empty pill bottles scattered across her room, which tells us that she's been struggling for a while. And escaping through portal time seems to be the only way that she's truly coping with these feelings of grief. I will say that, interesting enough, Darcy is the sister we see actually talking about her feelings. Even though it isn't a lot, it's still worth noting. To see a child self-medicating up to the point of overdosing was extremely hard to watch, and the thing is, I feel like Twins in Paradise was setting this up to happen very early on in the video. It was only going to be a matter of time when it happened. Darcy's character represents the unfortunate reality for a lot of people who never learn healthy ways of coping with big emotions like grief, and sometimes fall down the road of substance abuse, whether it be prescribed or somewhere else. Both of these characters are two sides of the same coin, two children left alone in a crumbling world without their mother, without anyone to help guide them through the very difficult and complicated road that is grief. I talk about what these characters are meant to represent, but there's also something that ties into all of that, and that is the fact that these characters are also a representation of what the outcome could be for someone who has nobody to look out for them. Now, it's clear through the photos that we see in the sisters' rooms that at one point they were close. Really close, and we see that at the end of this video that lost connection between them is finally found. Now, unfortunately in their case, they just couldn't be there for each other while barely staying afloat themselves. I'm not exactly sure what happened to their relationship after the loss of their mother, but that's the thing about death. It can be extremely tricky and change the things that you yourself thought were unchangeable. The sisters only seem to have their tennis coach left, which I don't really think amounts to much, seeing as his role throughout this entire story has been to exploit the girls in any way possible. We see him putting the girls in therapy, and honestly, I don't think that it's for their well-being, but instead to pump them up with drugs to keep them functioning well enough to hit a ball. Or we also see him setting up a photo shoot where the girls are meant to get in explicit poses just to be plastered on billboards. Mind you, these children are grieving the loss of their mother. Not to mention, when Darcy is in the hospital for overdosing, his main concern is whether or not her arm is okay enough to hit the ball. Yeah, these kids are pretty much doomed, and were doomed from the start. The moment where we see the sisters in the elevator reaching out for each other's hand broke my heart because of the things they had to experience just to get to the point of finding each other again. As the sisters embrace each other one last time, the world ends. And I'm pretty sure that this has to represent something, but I just don't know what it is. Trying to understand what's happening in this world is pretty confusing, even still. But there are a few things that I want to try to pick apart. First things first is the religious undertones of this video. Well, I really shouldn't say undertones because it's kind of just like plastered everywhere and really in your face, but there are things like the rapture being mentioned, as well as constantly asking people to repent for their sins, and that the reason behind this apocalypse happening is because of sinning and things like that. Not to mention, there's even a scene where what I'm assuming is like the president is saying that he will literally nuke his own country because God wants them dead. We then see the state of the world, which is quite literally full of sin. There are so many advertisements around the city that are promoting sex and nudity, and honestly, it makes me really nervous for the girls, especially when we see the billboard of the twins being showcased within the same space where we saw literal porn promos before. Not to mention, something I didn't catch on to the first time I watched this video, but I did recently, was that there was so much nudity everywhere within the home of the girls, literally on pictures in the therapist's office, as well as billboards throughout the city. Like, what is the deal with that? It really makes me feel nervous for these girls, and I'm hoping that there isn't anything like happening to them or around them, because what is the space that they live in? And I know that like bodies are not inherently sexual, but there just is something about this situation that feels icky-wicky to me, and I'm hoping that these girls were never in a situation outside of that photo shoot where they are ever made to do anything explicit. Just had to say that. Personally, I'm not a religious person, therefore I don't know a lot about religion, but I'm wondering if this wicked world plays directly into why it needed to be nuked, maybe in an act of renewal. As I mentioned before, I feel like this steadily decaying world is a representation of the twins' mental state getting worse and worse with time, and perhaps in the moment of the twins finally embracing each other alongside the nuke dropping could be symbolizing the twins finally starting on a fresh slate. Maybe this world ending and the twins embracing means that new things can start again. Last thing on this, I just want to say that the twins standing outside in their hospital gowns reminded me a lot of angels, so maybe that could also play into the whole religious aspect of all of this, but I'm probably just reaching for straws, so I don't know. All in all, I feel that Twins in Paradise is a very harsh depiction of the difficulties of navigating grief. The fact that vewn decided to use children for this video makes it so much harder to watch, but definitely makes it hit harder because grief doesn't discriminate when you think about it, and this sort of thing could happen to anybody. This sort of storytelling is my absolute favorite, and if you like content that makes you think a little deeper, definitely check out Twins in Paradise and check out vewn, because Twins in Paradise doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of the amazingly good videos that vewn has conjured up for us. I am really interested to know what you guys think about Twins in Paradise. What is your interpretation? How do you feel about this world that the girls are living in, about their situation? If you've seen it before and you want to chime in, go ahead and hit that comment section down below. And if not, Twins in Paradise will be linked in my description so you can go check it out yourself and come up with your own conclusion. I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. I hope that you guys liked it. If you did, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video in the future. With all that being said, I hope that you guys have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!